When trying to prove a point, it is important to distinguish between empirical versus anecdotal evidence. So what do these terms mean? Empirical means that you collect data from experiments run in a controlled environment. Anecdotal evidence is personal and not always reliable. Empirical versus anecdotal. What is empirical evidence? Empirical means that the evidence is gathered from experiments run in a controlled environment, such as a laboratory. The important thing is that the experiment is repeatable and will provide the same results each time it is carried out. This is factual evidence and is therefore reliable. What is anecdotal evidence?
Anecdotal evidence is based on personal experience of one person or small group of people. It cannot be relied on to provide factual evidence. For example, if Jane says that she got better from taking a certain medicine, this cannot be used as factual evidence that the same medicine will cure all similar people of the same condition. This is because Jane may have taken the medicine when she was already recovering.
Empirical evidence versus anecdotal evidence?
Empirical and anecdotal are two different methods of gathering evidence. Anecdotal information is more personal and less reliable than empirical evidence. It can only provide for generalizations. One person's experience can never be used to make a scientific generalization such as all people taking medicine will get better or all people using the same brand of soap will have good results. This is because each person has their own experiences, which may not be similar to other people's experiences. For example, if Jane and Jim both use a soap brand on their hands in the same way, it would be foolish to say that they will both achieve the same results. Jane may use the soap more often than Jim, for example.
When should you use empirical evidence?
Empirical evidence should be used when preparing to publish your work. This is because the scientific community will be interested in your work, and you need to show that you have not made any errors or exaggerated the results. Evidence-based information can only provide for generalizations, so it is not suitable for all situations. For example, if two people try a medicine on themselves with no prior experience of the medicine, anecdotal evidence about good results cannot be used to prove that the same medicine will help other people.
When is anecdotal evidence useful?
Anecdotal evidence can be used to make a decision on a very small scale. For example, an individual may use anecdotal information to decide which soap brand to use based on the fact that one soap brand caused their skin irritation while another one did not. The person then decides to try the brand that did not cause irritation, and if it works for them, they will continue using it. However, they know that this does not prove that the brand will work for all people. Anecdotal evidence is useful for making small decisions such as which soap to use, but it should never be used in place of scientific fact. For example, you could not say from anecdotal evidence that people who use this brand of soap will always have good skin, or people who use this brand of soap are more likely to get better if they have sunburn.
Can you use empirical evidence to support your claims? Empirical evidence can be used as supporting information for your claims. You can show that a lot of people tried the same thing and found it worked, or that a lot of scientific research supports your claims. This should not be used to make absolute statements such as all people who use soap will get good results, because this cannot be proven based on empirical evidence. Are there any exceptions?
There are a few examples of anecdotal evidence being used to back up scientific claims. One example is when the inventor of a new drug presents anecdotal evidence that the drug has worked for them, and many people have used it and found that it worked. Other medicines based on the same concept may then be tested in controlled experiments to see if they work as well as the new drug. Another exception involves literary criticism and deciding whether or not a book is good. Generally, the average person will only have a rough idea of whether or not they enjoyed a book, as they will only have read the first few chapters. However, if Jane's friend Sally says that she really enjoyed reading the book, this can be used as anecdotal evidence to make a decision on whether the book is good or not.
Conclusion.
Anecdotal evidence is useful for making small decisions such as which soap to use, but it should never be used in place of scientific fact. For example, if Jane wants to say that soap is healthy for skin, then she must back up this claim with scientific evidence. If Sally wants to say that soap is unhealthy for skin, then she must back up this claim with scientific evidence. You should never disbelieve anecdotal evidence or use it as proof that something does not work or is unhealthy because it can be faked and exaggerated. You can use anecdotal evidence to help you decide between two conflicting pieces of evidence. For example, if Jane has found anecdotal evidence that soap makes hair grow longer, she can use this as proof it works. If Sally has found empirical evidence that soap does not make hair grow longer, then she can use this as proof that it does not work. If there is no empirical evidence on a topic and there is only anecdotal evidence, it will be hard to say whether something happens or not. If someone has very convincing anecdotal evidence, then it can be used as proof that something does happen. If someone has very convincing anecdotal evidence, but other people who have similar health issues have not experienced this phenomenon, then it can be used as proof that something does not happen.